Welcome to the Scorebook Live Football Preview Show. I'm Connor Morrissette. He's Lance Smith. We're here in the bright sun of Palisades. Hi, Lance. Going to be talking to Syaire Riley, Palisades all-star linebacker, in a little bit as they prepare for their game against Venice. But even though it's October, it's hot here in Pali.
Yeah, the sun is very low. The air is kind of thin, and it's beautiful. But man, that sun.
Yeah, and it's making you tear up a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Well, that's all right. Would rather have a nice sunny day than clouds or even rain.
Oh, yeah. So beautiful.
Yeah, in beautiful Southern California. So, as we usually do, we will talk about 6 games. We usually start with the city section game, but because we're at the city section location, we will do that last, talk to Cy about that Venice game at the end. So, let's start with Lawndale traveling to Culver City in the Ocean League. Huge game. These are the 2 best teams in that league by a mile, and it looks like Culver City actually has a chance to beat Lawndale this year. Last year, both teams were so loaded as well, both winning Southern Section championships, and that might happen again. Lawndale will have a tough time in Division III, but this year, Culver City with Zevi Eckhaus, their quarterback, they look so good, and Lawndale is great as well. But Culver City will have an upset on their mind this week.
Yeah, and part of what makes Culver City so good is that they can also run the ball. Micaiah Evans-Bay has been great.
Yeah.
Certainly helps as a running back when you have one of the best quarterbacks in Southern California with you. But they have too many good receivers, Chris Miller being one of them, and Mackay Cope. And the question against Lawndale, even though Lawndale is not quite the same team they were last year, the question is, can Culver City's defense get it done?
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at Lawndale quickly, they have 2 fantastic members of their secondary, 2 Washington commits in Elijah Jackson and Michaela Steen. So we'll see how well Culver City can throw the ball against those 2 guys. That'll be a great game. I think one of us will definitely be there, so we haven't figured out which one, but be on the lookout for that. In the Trinity League, Lance, you saw Bosco squeak by Servite a week ago. Doesn't get any easier for the Braves this week as they travel to play Syaire. Syaire beat up on Santa Margarita last week. Some people think Syaire might be a little better than Servite. I don't know if I feel like that anymore, even though in our rankings we do have them higher. But Servite, man, they really impressed last week. Bosco ended up getting the win. It's going to be tough again for him.
Yeah. I mean, I have Servite and Syaire in the same category.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people underrated Servite because their 2 best players, Tetairoa McMillan, the wide receiver, quarterback Noah Fafita, they're sophomores.
Yeah.
So, it makes sense that they're a little underrated. But the way they play defense, their offensive line, at this point, they are in the upper echelon of not just teams in SoCal, not just teams in California, but really teams in the country. I think they're top 30 or 40. And, I mean, Syaire, you know what they can do. They can run the ball. Chris Street is the big name, but he's not the only great running back on the team. They have one heck of an offensive line and one heck of a defense, too. So I think we're going to be in for another good one. Personally, I have that as number 1 on my Game of the Week countdown.
Okay, that's good to know. General Booty, the Syaire quarterback, we'll see how he will be as an X factor this week because we know he can run, but can he pass effectively to get Syaire down the field and put up some points to compete with that great St. John Bosco offense led by DJ Ui Ungalele? That'll be the big question. General was pulled in a game earlier this year. He had a great performance against Calabasas, kind of rebounded well, played well against Santa Margarita. How will he do against St. John Bosco? That's my question.
Yeah.
Servite on the road against Mater Dei in Game 3, Lance. Mater Dei beat up on Orange Lutheran, kind of as we expected last week, and Servite almost beat Bosco, as we talked about. I'm a little bit worried for Servite in this game. They're on a high. That was a real kind of not emotional victory. Moral victory against St. John Bosco, even though they lost that game. And I think Mater Dei is a little bit better than Bosco, and they'll be ready for Servite this week. I'm not totally sure Servite has enough left in the tank to really challenge Mater Dei, so I like Mater Dei by a few scores in that game. But I don't want to belittle Servite for what they've done. No one expected it to be so close against St. John Bosco. They do have a chance against Mater Dei based on that performance, but I think it's just too quick. And, playing these 2 teams back-to-back is really hard. This team's really young. I think it's Mater Dei's year once again, and they should have not an easy time, but I expect it in the second half to kind of get away from Servite a little bit.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I would certainly put the money on that if I were forced to put money on it. But I would say the game against St. John Bosco might have been Bosco's worst game of the year, but they still looked like a championship contender.
Okay.
And Servite was really there with them, and they did so much of their work in the second half that I think there's a chance they're burnt out, especially when you got underclassmen running the show. But I think there's a chance this is the best time for them to face Mater Dei because they just played their best half of football of the entire season. They've seen the second best team in the country. Now they're about to see the best team in the country. So it could work with them, could work against them, could really go either way. But the way they played against Bosco, not just how well they played, but how poised they played, makes me think it's going to be closer, or at least has a chance to be closer than people think. So this could go either way for me, but obviously Mater Dei is the overwhelming favorite.
Yeah, those Servite sophomores have grown up quickly right in front of our eyes.
Whew.
We'll see how they do against Bryce Young and the mighty Mater Dei Monarchs coming up on Friday. That game was flexed into the Fox Sports West game of the week.
Oh, nice.
Notre Dame and Sarah was the old game. No longer. Fourth game, Pacifica against Oxnard, a huge Pacific View League game. Pacifica undefeated 6-0. Haven't really played anyone, but still 6-0, 6-0.
Yeah.
Oxnard 5-1 with their one loss coming to a very talented Camarillo team. For Pacifica, Caleb McCullough is the name to know. Linebacker, averaging 11 tackles per game. He's got a whole bunch of scholarship offers. He'll be great. But Oxnard, they've put up over 30 points in every game besides one. That was the loss to Camarillo.
Right.
And they're led by quarterback Jaden Jones, so they can put up points. I know Pacifica can too. They've blown out everyone, but I don't really think they've been challenged like Oxnard has. So we'll see. It's the first big test for Pacifica. Oxnard's been there, done that. It's at Oxnard.
Yeah.
I think that gives them a slight edge, but this game in my head is 50-50.
It's certainly anyone's game. I'm gonna give Oxnard more like a 60 to 65% chance, but I think if you have these teams face each other 10 times, I think no one's gonna win more than 5 or 6 of them. Like you said, Pacifica has not been tested. 6-0, nothing but blowouts. Their defense looks great. They're only giving up like 6 or 9 points a game or something like that. But how much of that is because they're great? How much of that is because of the teams they've faced? Yeah. Malik Sherrod, Michael Johnson III make a great running back tandem. And then for Oxnard, 5-1, their only loss, like you said, was not only to a great Camarillo team, but it was only by 1 point.
Yep.
They've beaten Westlake and Chaminade easily, and both Westlake and Chaminade are looking a heck of a lot better than they were a few weeks ago, even though I think neither of them have a winning record. Those are two great teams.
Those are good teams.
Yeah, and then Oxnard, running back, Xavier Harris, up to 900 yards on the season just about. So this is going to be one heck of a game, easily the game of the year for that league, and whoever wins this game is basically going to run away with league.
And lastly, before we get to our interview, the last game we're going to talk about, Vista Murrieta against Chaparral. Chaparral had a huge game against Murrieta Valley, 30-27 last week. Kind of put them in the driver's seat of that Southwestern League. But now they play another great team, Vista Murrieta. And for Chaparral, the name to know, Hunter Roddy. He was a sit-out period running back who made his debut in that Vista Murrieta game. Or in that Murrieta Valley game, he had 175 yards and 3 scores. What a game from him. And for Vista Murrieta, their running back, Raquel Wagstaff, he's the name to know. So 2 great running backs. That'll be an awesome head-to-head game. Chaparral's in Division 4, and they look like a Division 4 title contender for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And Chaparral, they love to run the ball. Their defense has really been key. Their passing game is kind of the question mark, but it's certainly not, an overwhelming weakness. I mean, a week ago, this looked like, Vista Murrieta wins by 20 points. Now, after they beat Murrieta Valley, if they win this game, it's done. They win league. And now all of a sudden it looks pretty evenly matched. That said, Chaparral, I always have trouble with that name, they've been undefeated the whole season, not just Vista Murrieta or Murrieta Valley. They've had a number of good wins. So I think this is anyone's game. And Chaparral, they've put a lot of teams on notice, including, like you said, everyone in Division 4 when league is over too.
Like we said off the top, we're here at Palisades High with linebacker Syaire Riley. It's Venice week, which for Palisades is huge. Yeah. Last year, it spanned over 2 days, that game, but you got the win. Venice is going to want revenge. How is this team looking at this game this week? It's a rivalry game. It's going to be a fun one.
Well, we can't really dwell on the past. Last year, it was a great win for us, but, we're open to all new opportunities and experiences. So we expect this game on Friday to be one of, that we're all going to remember. And we're gonna try our best, give everything we got because Venice is our rival. So we're just looking forward to the opportunity.
You guys are 5-1. A lot of big victories. A lot of teams are having trouble scoring on you guys. What's been the key to getting so many defensive wins this season? I mean, a lot of times you guys are putting up big points, but still no one's scoring more than 7-10 points against you guys. What's been the key to that?
We just want to rally to the ball. That's one thing we've worked on all season is just rallying to the ball, getting 11 hats there. And so, it's been, a great strategy, playing against all these teams and, just working as a collective unit. I think, when you start working as an individual, that's when you see different performances in terms of your defense. So, working as one unit, I think that's our best strategy.
Cy, on the Venice side, Luca Diamant, the quarterback, committed to Duke. Everyone knows his name. Everson Bozeman's a great running back for them. Again, I don't want to have you give them bulletin board material, but what's the plan to stop those two?
Just do what we've been doing all season. We're 5-1 for a reason, and so we look forward to the challenge. Luca, he's a great quarterback, and Emerson, everybody knows Emerson on this team. So we're just looking forward to having some fun and doing what needs to be done, which is stopping them.
So for you personally, all you're focused on is getting the win. We know that. But this is your last rodeo, as you were telling us before. What are some of your personal goals and some of the things that you want to remember down the stretch, the second half of your senior season?
I want to be the first team in the Coach Hyde era to go 5-0 in league play. And so that's one thing me and the seniors have talked about all off season, is just being that first team to go 5-0. And then we also want to be the team that takes that second and third step in the playoff for Coach Hyde. Not even for ourselves, but the legacy and the impact that Coach Hyde has had here on the program. We really want to commend him and give pay our dues to what he's done here at the program.
And Cy, the last thing for you, in your career, it's been kind of up the steps a little bit, if you will. That's not really the perfect analogy, but you made the D1 playoffs a couple years ago, won a game, and then lost to Dorsey. Last year makes the Open Division, and then followed Eagle Rock. This year you have a great shot to make the Open Division again and win a game. Like you said, you want to be the first team to take those next steps. What's going to be the key for this group to come together and accomplish that goal?
Just remembering who we are. We're a team that prides ourselves in the fourth quarter, so never giving up, never taking 1 minute, one play off. That's the little things are really going to make a team great. We really want to be that team, and so we're going to do all the things that needs to be done in order to pull out some victories.
It's rivalry week here at Palisades High. He's Syaire Riley. That's Lance Smith. Going to be a huge game here against Venice on Friday. Palisades Venice, a great rivalry game. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.